We are watching an ontological collapse. The boundaries of the self are being redrawn by the same institutions that claim to protect them. Legal systems and social narratives celebrate successful identity transitions, yet these same milestones often hide an internal erasure of history. The adoptee experience serves as a microcosm for this tension. It reveals how biological truth and social construction are locked in a high-stakes struggle over who we are allowed to be. We treat identity like a static birth certificate. In reality, it's a dynamic frequency that must be tuned. Institutional forces recalibrate this frequency without our knowledge until our sense of belonging no longer matches our origin. This institutional theft happens quietly. It replaces a person's inherent history with a version of the self that serves the needs of the state or the market. Beyond the physical risks of displacement or climate change lies a parallel threat to our species. It is the destruction of the cognitive maps we use to make sense of our lives. This gathering in 1948 established the global legal baseline for human rights. The Genocide Convention focused on immediate, visible atrocities, physical harm, the prevention of births, and the destruction of biological bodies. But there is a slow onset mechanism of erasure called epistemicide. It targets knowledge systems. When an institution erases a person's origins, it destroys the internal tools required for that person to define their own existence. This erasure manifests as a physical sensation, a persistent feeling that you are living across two competing signals at once. This maps the high, adaptive frequency. It's the socially constructed persona designed to fit the existing social scaffolding. Beneath that sits the low, subsonic signal. This biological truth is a primal pressure thrumming under the noise of daily life. Epistemicide leaves the subject in a state of hermeneutical injustice. They feel the hum of their biological signal, but the system has removed the language they need to explain it. This adaptive identity acts as a permanent performance, but it is a field that requires constant external scaffolding to remain stable. When age, trauma, or a collapse of trust removes that scaffolding, the individual hits the identity gravity well. The constructed self can no longer hold the weight of the subsonic truth. This sudden awakening is often violent. The adaptive frequency shatters, pulling the subject back into the biological origins they were taught to ignore. Systems manage this risk through an architecture of silence, a legal and social framework designed to keep the subsonic truth unheard. Within the adoption industry, this is maintained by weaponizing grief and financial security. By framing the search for origins as an act of betrayal, the system ensures the subject remains a ward of the institution's narrative. We see the same mechanics in high-level systemic cover-ups. Names are present, then obscured. Historical records are sanitized to protect the institution's stability over the truth of the individual. This architecture turns biological truth into a property of the state. The suppression of a person's origin ensures they cannot claim an identity outside of the one the system provided. Eventually, the silence fails. The rupture of reunion occurs when the biological truth finally breaks through the institutional veneer. While this rupture feels like a total breakdown, it is the beginning of post-tragic consciousness, the choice to participate in life despite the brokenness of the past. This braided helix represents a shift in perception. Those who navigate the both-neither space of identity erasure possess a rare capacity to listen to both versions of themselves at once. They develop what is called mushfake, a hybrid agentive authority. They build a self within the spaces of in-betweenness, creating a life that isn't dependent on the system's approval. This is radical hope. It is the refusal to let institutional failure dictate the limits of your aliveness. In a world designed to erase your subsonic signal, the primary moral imperative is to find the rituals that help you hear the hum.